Respect the place that you call home. Respect the land in which you roam. Respect the country you were born. Let's take it back. Respect reform. Hold on to freedom, hold on to hope. Don't give them slack, don't give them rope. Don't walk and hang your head in shame. Be proud, stand tall, and we will reign.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 43 of tonight's A Conversation with Neil Stevens. And we are live every Thursday, except the Thursday that you're watching this, okay? We're going to be out for another engagement, and that's why we're pre-recording it. Isn't that right, Nat?
Yes, sir, Rob.
Okay, thank you very much. So why don't we hear about what the purpose is of this podcast? Tony, can you give us that in 10 words or not less?
It's my turn to say it this time, Rob. So the podcast itself is about you, the community. Now, normally I would say message in, send in some questions, and we would try and incorporate into the show that we're doing now and give you the answers. But as Rob's already said, this is a recorded one. That doesn't mean to say that you can't still send in your questions. We will sort of respond to them. But like I say, it is recorded this time.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony. And Neil, how about telling us a little bit about what the purpose is of this podcast, sir?
Oh, so tonight we're going to be discussing oil, petrol. Okay, come back to it. We want you to get in touch with us. Got to message us directly through this page, right? The comments tonight, you'll be back to, and we are doing it recording. We're not used to recording, are we? And to be honest, Rob, I'd rather be live, right? But if you send us your comments tomorrow, we will get back to you by Friday and respond to your wishes. Right, what are we going to discuss tonight? Right, we're going to look at the cost of fuel and oil. Right, we're going to look at the government response to what's happening in this country. We're going to look at solar farms and the damage it's causing, right? The countryside itself. And we're going to actually go on to glyphosate, the weed killer, which is quite contentious right now. And Cornwall, we're going to bring it back. I've been doing a little bit of a survey on Facebook and I've had really good responses. So thanks for that. So we're going to discuss that.
That's great. And Nat, tell us how people get in touch, okay?
Good evening, all. And like the gentlemen have said, that tonight is recorded, but you can watch it on Thursday or tonight on Facebook. It'll be on YouTube. You can text to 07355 429 205 or email neil.stevens@devon.gov.uk, and all your questions and contributions will be answered tomorrow or after their or their other engagement, shall I say.
That's fantastic, Nat. So let's kick this off. And guys, could you give us an update as far as what you've been doing in your local constituencies, please?
My turn first, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you go first.
Yeah, so
Nat can go second.
So Alfred and the Cowett District, what we're doing, it's been really busy. I've had loads of emails. The caravan at the top of Sydney Road's still there. I have knocked on his door. I have put my card in. He hasn't replied. I'm now chasing Exeter City Council right through the highway to get that it removed. It's a disaster zone. It just shouldn't be there in my eyes. What else? Hills Trust. If you remember the Hills Trust, people apply. It's where Devon County Council sold some schools. They put the money into a fund which produces interest, and that money's got to be spent in and around the Exeter border or area. I am trying to secure 17 laptops for a SEND school. That is in negotiation, and I'm about 48 hours away from getting that secured. It was an interesting day. Couple of things I'm going to be bouncing in out of. I went on to a political BBC channel. I'm not going to say what. I was cornered a bit last week, and I'm going to bring that up. But potholes, we've got Sydney Road pothole done. I've answered most of the emails, and that's that one. Pass it over to you, Nat.
Good evening, all. I think you know where I'm from, Broadclist area, Devon County Councillor. This week and last, every day's a busy day, but I've sat in a couple of online meetings. One regard a path widening between Broadclist and Westclist. So I'm asking lots of questions there regards who funds it, who is responsible for the land acquisition, if there's any need to be bought. Just digging into where all this funding comes from for these cycle paths and whatnot in that area. And then I've arranged a meeting next Thursday, the 30th. 2 meetings on one day in Cranbrook. One regards the accident where the car crashed into somebody's house, and the other being the London Road. Now there's been so much building there, the traffic's got absolutely manic, and the existing houses that were the other side of London Road, they've got no safe place to cross along that stretch, so that needs to be looked at. And also something that came to me this morning was fly tipping.
Yeah,
and our neighbours
on that.
Yeah, our neighbours, the farmers up the road, I'd have probably said 1.5 tons of builder's rubble, amongst other things, but with a name and address on some packaging that was amongst it. So I was right onto that, reported it via the East Devon fly tipping reporting site, and also spoke to the police about it. But I will know more about that in the next few days when we get something in return, and hopefully it will, because it's a serious job and it dirties our countryside.
Right, so that was quite embarrassing. The reason I say it's embarrassing, first of all, I want to protect the countryside, and then Nat sent me a picture of it, which we were going to put up, but we legally can't, because the label he found actually addressed the name and the address of the person. There's only a bit of paper. It doesn't mean that he's actually done it, but it's in my area. What was the road, by the way? Nat, come on.
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you.
Well, I can tell you the road was Hawthorne.
Hawthorne Road. So if you did dump all this rubbish in the countryside next to a councillor or near a councillor's house...
Well, it could have been a contractor doing work for this person.
Yep.
And he might have, in all goodwill, paid somebody to get rid of it.
So if you know anything about it, all right, just reach out to Nat, say, look, I know what's happened, I know where it's come from, and let's just sort it out behind the scenes without getting anybody escalating it.
Without getting the knock on the door.
But why do people do it?
Well, if it could be a number of scenarios, couldn't it? But probably more than likely, the guy's paid somebody to take the rubbish away or the building materials away, and they've just tipped it up because he don't want to pay for it. Well, this guy may have paid to have it taken away with all the right intentions, and knows no more about it. The problem is, did he check whether they had a proper waste license? All these things that these guys have to pay for, and then they can do it legitimately. It basically comes down to who has the responsibility, and if you're paying to have waste taken away, you should be making sure that these people are legitimate people that aren't going to just go and dump it in the countryside.
Yeah, no, I was just saying. So reaching out to the people, you all know who they are. Just please sort it out.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nat. Tony, how about you? What's happening?
Well, I'm going to start off with something that I didn't want to do, but I'm going to anyway. I like it.
I've
stayed.
Your brother.
I've made a conscious,
your brother picking on you again, Tony.
I've made a conscious decision to stay away and not to say much about the local elections coming up in May. But sometimes even I get a bit annoyed with things that come through the letterbox. So anyway, I won't, without giving anything away, this political party like the colour orange. So we'll leave it at that. But on
Is that the Green Party?
Well, it could be. On the actual leaflet itself, it makes a lot of promises and things that they've done, which are absolutely brilliant. One of the things that I did read that did take offence was that Reform show no real record of action of helping the local people in St Thomas.
Oh my gosh, what do you have
So,
to say about
I-
that?
Right,
Well,
right,
let me-
right, I'm going to have to stop this.
okay.
Tony, I'm going to give you your 1 minute piece because you're going to chew me ear.
Yeah.
But I have stated no political. We're
Yeah.
not going to promote anybody, and that goes for it doesn't matter what party. But I'll let you get it off your chest. So,
Yeah, I haven't finished.
So, by the way, Reform Council, Tony and I work really hard. All right, it does affect our marriage. We'll come back to that in a minute, actually. And
Not our
you.
marriage. I'm
What?
not married to you, am I?
Tony,
Okay.
carry on. But
Right,
you only
so,
have 1
all
minute.
right, so
Make it about local issues,
I do take
Tony.
offence to, because I'm as Reform County councillors. How do they know what we do in the community? They don't seem to talk to us. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is taking credit where credit's not due. So I actually contacted their local councillor, and I'm still waiting for a reply. Adrian, anytime.
Right, you're
Anytime,
running out of
Adrian.
No,
time.
all right, for a reply anytime. They're taking credit for Isleworth Road and the resurfacing. We have to say they are nothing to do with highways. Nothing at all. We're the ones who deal with highways. So any credit they try to claim, be it yellow lines, safety issues, they actually do right to us, and we have to deal with it. But that's my rant for that one there, and I don't think I'm allowed to carry on after that on that one.
Yeah, no, sorry, Tony. I'm not trying to
No, that's
stop
all
you.
right.
No, let's be realistic.
I did want to get that one off
yeah.
my chest, though, now.
Right, you got it off your chest?
Yes.
Right, so
We're focusing on local issues, guys.
Yeah,
that's the
local
most
issue,
important.
in all
and
fairness.
and you're right. We need to, highlight what you all have been doing, and you've been doing great work and for local issues. What do you have to say about that, Neil?
Well, no, just without going too much into leaflets, I've read everybody leaflets. If we're going to save the planet, Christ, we must have to strip some trees down these leaflets. And I'm talking about every party. I mean, I've got leaflets from. In fact, I've got a bundle of leaflets, and it's quite
We
interesting.
could do another show, really, if you're.
Yeah, it's quite interesting what you read, but I can honestly tell you, the three councillors here and other councillors Reform are working hard for the community. Right, we work. I get up early, I go back home, and I answer your emails, and I follow it through. And Tony and Nat does the same. So when it's not about who does what and whatever. At the end of the day, we're here to serve the community, and I'm quite touchy about that right now. Not about that my job is a councillor for you guys and Tony. So we are working hard. We are still doing it. Forget about the elections. We're there.
Okay, Tony, back to you. Tell us what you've been doing in the local
so
area. Give us
I'm
some
going to
good
give you
updates.
another one now, which is a bit of a rant, but nothing to do with the elections, all right? So I'll start the ball moving again. I've been looking into the equipment that Exeter City Leisure have installed for the disabled wheelchair user in their leisure centres. So I had a local resident contact me to say the equipment's completely wrong. It's inadequate. So this was raised with the leisure centre managers, didn't want to know. Exeter City don't want to know. So I thought somebody actually wrote to me and said, why don't you contact, which I thought this was good, the local Labour county councillor whose portfolio is leisure. So I contacted him. I thought, this is really good. We're on to something. Only to get the reply, he's really busy, and basically, do not get involved in local issues. You're a county councillor. I did point out we're all busy, and this resident contacted me because he was getting nowhere with the local councillors. And I'm still waiting for another reply from him as well,
Neil?
Yeah, so we get responses that some of the councillors, remember their job is homelessness, parks, things like that. Our job is roads and all the safety issues. So they have to write to us. We've already told people, it doesn't matter, local councils, just don't jump the chain of command. You go through us and then we'll deal with it. But
we are talking about Exeter City councillors,
Exeter
aren't we?
City
Not
Council, this
Devon.
is.
Not,
No,
there's no
Devon
Labour
is-
Devon County
But
councillors.
we
is there?
deal with all of them.
Yeah.
Right, but the main message is, and I put this out after the 7th of May. Is it the 7th of May? We all
Yes,
work as a
yes.
team. It doesn't matter which part you are. Tony and I are team players, right? The end result is we have to work for the community, and I ain't going to change my principles for nobody.
Okay, that's great. So let's, should we kick off tonight's conversation on our topic here? I think if we were to summarize this in 3 words, maybe it's Britain needs reform. Britain needs energy, actually, is what it is.
Right. So we're not
Okay.
doing a political broadcast because we're not technically allowed.
Yeah.
All right. So let's bring it back.
Well, that's some people use that expression to say Britain needs this, Britain needs that, but I think really fundamentally Britain needs energy because I'll maybe just give it a little anecdote. My water bill when I first moved in 4 years ago was £45. It's now 130. I went in a shock. I got that, and I checked it because in 2025, April 2025, they increased the water and sewage bills by 35% in this area. See, so the cost of all these utilities and energies are very important to me and to many in the area. Neil, can you summarize this conversation we're going to have, please?
Just to relate to your water bills, my water bill, because I'm not on a meter, is higher than my council tax because where I live. Right now, I don't mind paying water, but when I know that Southwest, and we're going to bring this up another week, my daughter-in-law said you need to watch this program. It's really upsetting, and I'm not going off track. But what they're saying is the Southwest is one of the worst water companies for pollution, for frigging pollution. All right. So we're talking about our we're going off subject. So what we're going to talk about. So basically, I was invited into a political BBC program on Friday, which was then aired on Sunday. I was a little bit disgruntled because the subject was first of all about Wi-Fi on trains. We're not going to go down there, right? But the price of oil and petrol and diesel, right, which affects all of us. And I had I'm not going to mention names, two MPs on there. Remember, I'm not saying only, I'm very proud to be a Devon County councillor. But Nat's watched it tonight. Tony, you've seen it.
Yeah,
if we carry on
did
the subject, I'm going to bounce to you. We're talking about the cost of fuel for a minute. And we're talking about oil for heaters in the countryside. And I did stress to these guys, 1.5 million in the countryside rely on oil heating. Tony.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Neil says, 1.5 million people in the countryside approximately, they rely on the heating. So if that heating goes up, so do their bills. A lot of them do community sharing, but it still goes up. And at the moment, all you can do is see the price go up and up. It's not going to go down.
Well, it pretty much doubled overnight, didn't it?
It doubled overnight.
Heating oil doubled overnight.
Right, so let's go back to reality. So what I said to him, you've got a person who relies on fuel, £500. The next day overnight is £1,500. We need to support these people. Now, it's not just about oil. It's about everything. So we're going to really dig into it. All right, look at the fuel now. We get smashed on tax. Taxed on fuel, VAT on fuel. I think it's 45 to 55%.
Nearly half of it, I think.
50%, 55%.
Is on tax.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Tax and
right.
VAT.
So let's talk about the crisis. And if these MPs really annoyed me. All right, some guy said, "Cool, he's a bit red. He's been drinking." No, because I'm not allowed to say. I was going to say I wanted to wrap my cup over his head, but that's wrong. Okay, but these people, right? These MPs really bounce figures around, don't they?
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, look at the tax. Which country is supporting their people? Anybody?
I would have said Canada.
You knew because you read it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you've
You know
ruined
that?
it, haven't you?
You.
It's because you
Well,
told me earlier.
I'd definitely say Canada. No.
No, but, so I looked at it, and first of all, it said France, Spain, Greece. They're all supporting their
people. Yeah.
But it's not correct. They're looking into it, but they're not done any support. Now, people might correct me on that. Right? What's the UK do? Nothing. I'll tell you what they are doing. They're pulling in, am I right, 220 million
well,
pound
last
profit?
week, I think it was 220 million so far they've made from the increase in fuel.
Well, people are struggling paying more to get to work. Businesses struggling to run vehicles.
But it's a knock-on effect.
It is a knock-on effect.
Because you think the distribution of goods, that costs more money. So once it goes into the supermarkets, they put their prices up because the distributors have put their price up. So you will pay more for the basic goods that you need.
So, but on this discussion on Friday, it was recorded on Friday, and it is like they don't edit it. BBC don't edit it. So I'm sat on the bench with these two people. I've got to be careful what I say, MPs. I could dig deep into what I thought, but I didn't. But at the end of the day, we need to support people I'm finding it hard. Okay, and I just look at the bills I'm paying, and I feel very sorry for pensioners. I just think that when we're in a crisis,
Yeah.
right? We can't control the crisis. We're already in a crisis before Trump started the war.
Yeah.
All right, but what help did we get? No, we put up all this, or we put everything up, and for a minute, yeah, you're going to make your money. You're going to get your taxes. I think it's 39 taxes, but we rely on fuel.
A government should look after its people, and it's got every opportunity to, but it's not. Now, there's an ulterior motive there, isn't there? They don't want us driving cars. They don't want us doing this, that, and the other. But the reality of it is, it's not going to go away. People have got to get to work to keep the wheels turning in the economy. Business is running, so they stay profitable and make it worthwhile having a business. So that's what the government should be doing. They should be looking after businesses and people to get by in life to keep the economy running.
Can I quickly say that I did actually read in the paper yesterday that a distribution company had gone down 60 lorries. You think what those 60 lorries distribute every day, 60 people who won't be driving them. But that, again, those goods still have to go by road to get to their destination. The other companies will put the prices up because you don't have the competition. 60 lorries off the road.
Well, y'all might remember this, but a few years ago when the prices went up, they said, "Oh my gosh, we got to tax the oil companies because they're making windfall profits." But they aren't saying that to the government, who are making an absolute bundle of this. They're making windfall profits because of the 55% tax. All the increase. What did it increase? Probably 80p per liter.
Yeah, but where's the money going to that they're making?
Every time you pump the nozzle, it's what is it, about 40p a liter you're paying to the government. So they should say, okay, well let's forego that windfall that we're making. And
I mean, it does point out too. People
right?
have a go at petrol stations, but they are making not even 2 pence for every litre they sell.
And this is how bad it is. I know somebody that owns a petrol station down sort of Newton Abbot way, and he owns that and refused to put the prices up. And he was getting people saying, "Thank you very much" online, like "Thank you very much for helping," and this, that, and the other. But then he get a phone call from whoever's supplying him saying, "Listen here, you better pick your prices up because you're going to cause mayhem in a minute." Well, they're dictating to him. He's not making a profit out of that fuel, but he's being fair to the people local to him. Who's pulling the strings and where and why?
It's big. Myself as big corporations. I just think Labour, any government. Let's just stick to the party line. We're in a time of crisis. We're in a living crisis. They're on about you're going to get a deduction from the electricity soon. Oh, that's funny. It's not winter anymore. But I bet you a bottom dollar when winter comes, it all goes back up again. The country is in a mess, right? It is in a complete mess. They are getting as much blood out of a stone. So we're all paying too much money for a government who are spending it. All right, you want to go down the road of this? Okay, so I was talking about oil. I was talking about they're going to give everybody a subsidy. If you divide it between the 1.5 million, it works out £35 a week or whatever a month. Wow. Right. So then they deflected it.
They did it's called a strawman's argument.
Yeah, which we'll come back to in a minute. So what I'm saying is we need a government, we need somebody to look at the personal finances of everybody, and it's not just like you said, shops, lorries.
What I don't understand here, when they say support for these people with the heating oil and this, that and the other, I'm sure I heard back along that Rachel Thieves wasn't going to give that support until the autumn.
Correct.
Well,
yeah.
Elderly people may have run out of oil just before the prices doubled and need it desperately because, these boilers work, the heating and the hot water.
Right then, so
So they
how are
might
we
be.
going to help
They're
these people then?
struggling now.
Right, so I'm the negative man now. How are you going to help them? Why would they prioritise over you and I?
Well, because Neil, again, you go back to it. You know, every time you pump that nozzle, okay, you're paying an extra 70p. I think it must have been about £1.20, and it's £1.90. Let's just do simple math. 70p additional. Now, 55% of that is about 40p. Let's just say, okay. So,
Yeah, it's tax.
So they're making that. They can afford right now to support businesses. And what I think is really egregious is a business that are already struggling, Nat, okay? And let's just say a dairy farmer, I don't know if this is a good example, but let's say a dairy farmer has to put the milk, on the lorry to get to the distribution point or something like that. And I'm sure they're locked into prices already through the supermarkets, right? So they have to pay, it erodes into whatever minuscule profits they were going to get. And they might even go out of business because they can't afford it, right?
First of all, they're locked into prices, the majority of them, by the milk processing firms, through the people that collect their milk. So, they're screwed down. Either which way, they're screwed down. And then obviously the supermarkets sell it cheap as chips, which is, this is another rabbit hole. But ultimately, it's a good example with farmers. They're all rural. Most of them use heating oil to keep their house warm
1.5
and
million.
cooking. They run their tractors on diesel, and it's them always.
It affects the food chain and
And
everything.
so that's where it starts, and then obviously it starts filtering down to people buying food in the supermarkets. But although the supermarkets may put their prices up, it certainly doesn't go back to that farmer to help him pay his bills.
Yeah. Going
Go ahead,
back
Neil.
to the conversation which we recorded with the two MPs. So the story it started off about oil.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, how do we support them? They're on about this fund. And then they bounced it. So one MP particularly bounced it and said, how are you going to fund it? Tony, how are you going to fund that money?
Well,
to
I
help
mean,
you?
the one thing, when you're on a live, when you're recording or anything like that,
No, I didn't ask you. How would you fund it?
how would I fund it? I'd look at where we've got budgets that are really excessive and I'd see if there's any waste there.
Right, so I used the word send. He goes, send, all right. But also he tried to drag me into that a certain party supports Putin.
I don't think that's ever been said, has it?
No, and
I don't think that's been said.
And I'm thinking, hang on a minute. We're talking about the price of oil. And then we're talking about Putin.
Yeah, he's trying to deflect the conversation
which
on
we're going to
something
talk
else.
about now. So what I'm trying to say is,
Which has never been a statement. Can I just point that out? That has never been a statement put out
No.
by
right,
the
so
party we
it's
represent.
called the straw. Explain
It's
about that.
called the strawman argument. And what it is, they try and exaggerate or deflect on something you've said to make you look weak. So in Neil's case, he actually said something, they picked up on it, and they went for that. So you went off subject. They didn't have to talk about the subject that they were meant to be talking about. They tried to make Neil say something that they got on him. So the next minute, they were arguing and talking about that, which had nothing to do with the subject that they were talking about. And then, of course, they've got themselves a story that another Labour MP could stick on to make him look bad and say that reform, they're depriving all these SEND people, special needs people, of the care they need,
Yeah.
which wasn't said at all.
Thank you, Tony. It's a debating technique. Basically, if you sense you're going to lose the argument, you change your conversation onto something else and hope that you're going to win that
I've
argument.
always known it as deflecting.
Before we started this, Tony, I mean, we've only got to look at it briefly, and obviously we don't want to give the opposition all the ideas of how they can save money. But when you look at private SEND schooling, £60,000 to £100,000 a year per child, or mainstream SEND schooling, £6,000 per child, doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out where there can be money saved and or invested into more mainstream SEND schools. Surely.
We were talking about this earlier, and I won't say the schools because you can find out through the Freedom of Information Act. But you can look on the Devon County Council website and find out exactly how much money has gone to some of these private schools, and I think you'll be pleasantly
But let's
surprised.
go back to the strawman argument. So the strawman argument, he took me off the hop, and somebody said, "Oh, you've been drinking." No, I went bloody red. The reason I went red, I was annoyed, and what I said was, the question was, "Well, where are you going to find the money?" And I said, "Well, look at SEND, special education." But they didn't let me finish. And what I'm trying to say is taxis, for example, 22.5 million after lockdown, 52.7 million. We're going to overspend. Now you do that in the whole country.
Yeah.
You want to
Can I-
save money?
Can I add to that,
Look
Neil?
at the people.
I've been walking all over the place. I won't say what I've been doing, but on this side of the river, I've been doing a lot of distribution of different
Vegetables, is
different
it?
items. Anyway, but I've been doing a lot of walking. So today I was walking in a particular area, and I noticed this. It was school time. School was getting out, right, in a primary school, I think, or something, and the taxis. There were about 8 taxis lined up outside, guys, and I don't know much about this, but we have to look at anything that's doubled in cost in the last few years. Because a good example is I was looking at the people that got into the taxis, the children and the mothers or fathers. I didn't see them any different from me or you. And why do they deserve
It's
a
a little
tax?
bit like
We're
Gary
going on
Townsley
the-
said, wasn't it? There's some taxi firms become millionaires because they've taken
Let's
advantage
go
of
back
the...
to the strawman argument. So we were talking about
Well, actually,
oil.
it is a way into strawman argument what we've done now, because
Yeah.
we've deflected from what you were talking
Yeah.
about,
So
which is oil.
I'm bringing you back.
And we're talking about SEND.
Yeah, so I'm bringing you back. So the discussion was about oil and fuel, and that was a good example how the strawman argument is related to this conversation. So not only did he mention Putin, that we support, and I thought, well, how did Putin get into the conversation about oil? Because they do not want giving an answer about supporting the people. All right, that's the strawman argument, and I would call it deflection. And this is what really and then he said, well, you're a politician. I said, I'm not a politician. I'm a Devon County councillor. And I thought, if you two are politicians, he said, well, friggin' hell, you're both numpties. All right, and I will use that word because I can't go into what was
Can
said.
I also add to that, Neil? I was in the American military, and you were in the British military. 3 tours of Afghanistan. For a man like you to be accused of being for Russia is like saying,
Don't even
you're
go
wearing a skirt today. It's ridiculous.
Don't even go down that road.
It's all just a deflection off the
Yeah,
point
so-
because
so
they've
Nat-
run out of ideas pretty much.
It really
haven't
insulted me. He goes, well, your party supports Putin. And I thought, well, I've been to war three times. And without talking about this individual, namely, he was a Marine and he hasn't seen anything. And I thought, nah, you don't even go down that road.
Well, it's
with
not
me.
worth- it's
I
not
might
worth
not be.
it,
I
is
might
it?
not be posh, but I can tell you something. I'm the people person. I'm the one who works at the cold front. I'm the one who sees all this crap that you lot are delivering. And if you want to deflect it, mate, you're just going down the wrong tree. And what else did he say? Yeah, SEND. Yeah, I'm looking at, and we are actually looking at it now. Where we're going to save money.
We're looking
Not
at
to-
everything.
No, not going to look at the children. The children will not suffer. I've just secured 17 laptops for 14,000 or something pound for a school in my area. They don't tell me about cutting money away from SEND. Right, this was a typical weak show. All right, and as in these
Yeah.
people.
He didn't have any solutions.
No, and do you know what?
No, they're out of ideas and they don't want to make. And we're not, like you said, you're not wanting to take away anything from these children that need help, but at the same time, there are ways of saving money.
And can I say that as politicians, they are probably well trained in what they do. You remember, we've never done this. We are not trained. What you see is what you get. We're quite approachable.
But
we
I'm
won't
not-
lie.
I'm not going to use a straw. I will tell you straight, whether you like it or not. And as we carry on the show, I don't care if you don't like what I say. I'm just going by what I know and what I feel. Right. But the show did, I've got to give the BBC, they were very good. They did pull it back. Tried to pull it back on. The other MP was actually very nice, actually. He was just an individual.
Well, he didn't say much, did
Yeah,
he? So.
and by the way, I'm red because I'm working outside most of the bloody time, and then before I come on this show, I have a shower. Yeah, and he did embarrass me because what I really wanted to say was it would have not been the right protocols. That's the best way of putting it.
Well, to be honest, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what colour your face is, does it? It shouldn't be. And I think it's a pretty pathetic comment to make, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I just went off track. So what they've done is they've took the snippet about Send, they put it on their Facebook. The other MP wasn't even in there, all right? Another Labour MP. I think our local MP, I hadn't actually seen it. Thank you, Steve. I think people were exploiting it. But if you're going to play it, play the whole 30-minute.
Or people can go and watch it on BBC
we can
iPlayer.
all
My wife
snippets.
said, don't bring it up. She said, don't bring it up.
We can all pick
Because-
snippets of what people say and make it sound as though
What's your view?
they were bad.
Okay, well, I think we're focusing on something that maybe is not as important,
Straw man
as
argument.
Read about it.
What the topic here is the cost of energy and how people
We're
are
back to
being
Strawman again,
their necks are
distracting.
being squeezed. Everybody is, and it was a bunch of numpties you had on the show with you, last Friday, I guess, or something
so
like
we
that.
should be
But,
freezing VAT.
but
Canada can do
what
it.
What are the solutions?
Right, Canada. Look at Canada. They're helping their people out. I think they're calling it a holiday. Let's have a holiday. Let's have a VAT holiday or whatever. We can reduce the funds to stop. All right, yeah.
Why don't we have an energy cap on diesel?
I'm sure.
So the
I'm pretty
government,
sure.
But it's not
government
just
can
diesel.
say,
It's oil. It's
well,
oil,
the whole,
fuel,
all of it. Just say
petrol.
we're gonna cap it because that's what they.
Well, let's say cap it. Let's have a holiday.
Yeah.
That means we
Well,
reduce
that's
the
what I
fund.
mean. They can be squeezed instead of making all this money off of the VAT and all that. They
Didn't
can
raise your fees.
They
There was
can
a
get
black
rid of
hole
it.
of 40 million.
They don't
or
need to
billion,
make any more money.
But it wasn't true.
I think they've been using that black hole.
How big's that
farce
black hole?
since they came
Pay
into
Adele for
power?
that,
And
couldn't
I'm
they?
sorry, it's only got bigger, isn't it? So they haven't really done anything to stop that.
And right, well, we can. You want to say about saving money? Well, look at the welfare bill. All right,
Yeah.
let's give everybody a pay rise by, is it 6.6%? That wasn't scripted. Nothing scripted here, by the way. Yeah, I wish I had a 6 pence. I've got to get up and work.
Well, there's times, and I know this is controversial. There's times I think, why do I work? I could earn more money not working.
Okay, are we? You want to
went
wrap
down
this
well, didn't it?
this
Yeah,
part
let's
of
wrap that up,
the topic
'cause we're going off
up?
Yeah.
I mean, my takeaway here is I think the government, Rachel Thieves, should forego the increase that the government has gotten off this windfall profit they've received, and say enough is enough. We're not going to make any money off this deal, and have a freeze like you suggested, Neil. Does
You're
that
right.
kind of summarize our
It's-
thoughts?
I would call it a holiday period.
Right.
Until the conflicts and all this trouble in the world is sorted out. All right.
Solar
because-
farms, Rob.
Oh, that's a sore subject.
Let's go on to that one. I think this is one that Nat should sort of take the lead on.
Well, regards solar farms, they shouldn't even be there. I'm afraid that's where I start from that one.
Well,
Yeah, but let's go in. So that was a conversation on solar farms on Friday, which was aired, obviously. Right, so what's happening is solar farms, we're about 85% rural in Devon, you know that. About 85%.
Yeah.
So looking at solar farms are cheap to build. They produce cheap energy, all right? So what do? They stick them in the countryside. And I can't see any Green Party or anybody who would support that, where you're vandalising the countryside when we've got... So I put it to him, I said, so you get a rural community, a small village, small town, you've got a massive money-orientated company,
Yeah.
all right? They're going to they're not there for their health, I can tell you that.
Mainly foreign companies, I think,
Right.
mostly.
So then they put in planning permission, the small, I'm dealing with Holsworthy right now. We're trying to sort that out. So they come along, put massive planning in, and next minute, right next to the village, is a massive solar farm. So I put it to the Lib Dem MP Friday, was Devon, and I'll repeat this, Devon actually we're in the green renewable state. We produce that much energy, we could be green. Did he deny it?
no, he didn't, Neil, no.
No, and we've been told that Devon's already net zero as well.
I mean,
We are
we were
net-
told that we
yeah.
produce so much electricity, we have to waste it.
So then I said that to him. I said, our substations are red. And
Didn't
what I mean
deny
by
that
red,
either.
they're overheating, right? They are losing 10%, and he confirmed 10%. They are losing 10%. Right, so this is what I don't understand.
Well, Neil, when you say they're making money, they're only making money because of two factors. First of all, they're subsidized by the government. Okay, these solar farms are subsidized by the government. You know that. And then the second thing is, yeah, sure, they're making money because the cost of electricity is 4 times as high as what it should be in this country. It's the highest in the G20. So, stick a solar collector out while you can, because, it should go back down to reality like every other industrial country.
Rather than making local people's or Devon's energy bills lower, what they're storing, they're selling abroad.
Actually, you are actually correct.
They're selling it
so
over.
there is a priority, not in the
seas.
solar farms, but the main power stations. If there was a blackout in England, the priority would be Europe. I'll go into detail another time. So they do not, because they're contracted to, foreign companies are contracted to support their people first. But let's go back to it. So we have solar farms in the countryside. We're destroying farmland. We're destroying countryside, all right, in order to meet net zero. We're producing too much electricity. The grid cannot cope with it. The substations are red, but the electric is dear. Now, it's like the taxis, and I'm not straw argument here, right? If you've got too much of something, things should be cheaper.
Yep.
Right, that's we are overdone with taxi drivers. We are overdone with electric. So my discussion, I used the word discussion, was we have smart meters. So people who are vulnerable, right, they can adjust smart meters like they do with their phones and all that. It can be all through these posts or antennas, right? If we've got so much electricity, the vulnerable people should have it cheaper.
Yeah.
What's your view on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I've been told in the past that those smart meters, only a partial part of those meters actually work. It's only telling you what you're using.
Well, it's like the internet, isn't it? There is more to it.
There's a lot more to it.
A lot more to it. You only use probably 5% of it.
And if you want to make a point against solar farms, just look at the supply of oil and what it's done to the cost of our fuel. If you take away our green fields and our growing land, if we ever need to have more food, as in self-reliant food, they're shooting themselves in the foot, because, and then ultimately, if the imports of food become restricted, you've got a nation of people that are going to start getting pretty hungry pretty fast. And look at what all these solar panel farms are doing to the countryside. Taking away prime growing and farmland.
Well, it's arable land, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stopping Britain from being self-sufficient.
Yeah.
It's land that you could grow your crops and
Rear animals.
Well, I've got a question for you guys. Excuse me, Tony. Could you run us through a story about, any local solar farm and what the impact on the community is and why people are up in arms about it?
You've only got to go up the M5 and you'll see a huge solar farm there.
Well, you've got Alphington.
Yeah, you'll see a huge solar farm there, and you think, that's arable land. They could be growing things there. Instead, you've got field after field of solar panels.
And it looks ugly, doesn't it? Absolutely disgusting.
Well,
when you're going up through
just
that
how many
M5
solar
corridor.
panels do you want?
Well, we're losing our countryside. We are losing it. And I put it to the Liberal MP, who was apparently is an expert on it. He is an expert.
He did say, didn't
and
he?
I said, well, why aren't we putting it on? You can drive around now and you will see it on factories, roofs, car parks. And they had a bit of a giggle about
the livestock centres.
No, they had a bit of a
covered in them.
giggle, Tony. They said, well, we could put it on golf course because apparently 2 to 4% of this country is golf courses and that's all we need.
No,
that's what they
because
said.
you're taking away those guys' right to have a game of golf. They've got a hobby.
No, but this is how they strawman it. So my discussion is put it onto
Car
factories,
parks.
put it into brownlands, and he come back. Oh, you don't understand. It's too complicated.
No,
Well, it's
nothing
not. If you
complicated.
can stick it in the middle of a field, how can it be complicated?
But I'll
Well,
tell
they-
you why
they-
they're doing
they
that.
can stick 'em in the
because
middle of
it's
field.
cheap to build, and they don't care what the towns and the villages.
What damage it does to the.
No, and I'm surprised any Green Party, or anybody would support that, ripping your countryside up.
They should be all over it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And
all
another
over
thing
it to
today,
stop
what
it.
they're on about the wind farms. The wind farms, when they don't produce electricity, if I'm correct, we have to pay the people.
Yes.
Like a rent.
And the other funny thing, of course, if it's too windy, they get turned off.
Yeah, and then we still have to pay them.
It has to be the right
Am
sort
I right,
of wind.
Rob?
Yes, you are correct.
I mean,
Neil.
I've talked about it on this show before with you guys. I visited one in Lockbeer, up over the top, and the farmer had ripped out a Devon bank, and if any farmer had done that in the past, they'd have been fined or something silly like that. But no, I expect all this went by the
When
by.
we drove down the road, all the banks gone. The hedges.
No, it was a different one.
What were the
I
hedges
visited
you-
with a couple of parish
They're building
councillors.
down your area, and all the hedges are gone.
But this is it.
I thought
Bulldoze
hedges
a lot, isn't
were
it? They-
protected.
Yeah, no, well, this is it. And this particular firm had ripped out an ancient hedgerow, and ultimately nothing more was said. Unless you've got pots of money to go and take them to court and fight it, you're peeing down a.
Yeah, we're gonna. I don't know how much time we got left, Rob, because I didn't take the clock. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about weeds. I know it's our. Oh, we got plenty of time. Good. So weeds. This is quite controversial. So just going back to it, that was another conversation which we brought up on Friday. Glyphosate coming back in Cornwall. So Cornwall has banned it for 10 years. I put a Facebook message out, 2 lots actually, and I've had a very, very good response. Now, at this time, I am neutral. We're going to look at both sides of the story, right? So I'm going to say you want it to be used. Tony, you're going to be the one who don't want it used.
Oh,
and
this
I'll
is going to be hard, isn't it? This
And
is gonna
Rob,
be
you will
hard.
be the adjudication officer. So,
This is gonna be hard.
cut a long story short, 10 years it's been banned. The government haven't banned it. They actually extended the license, if I'm correct, this year, 2026
Yeah,
to
councils
December.
still do use it.
I've also
not
know
Devon.
that EU haven't banned it, but the World Health Organization said it is like a poison. So it's a very scientifically,
Well, so shampoo
we
if you
need to
drink
be
it.
looking into it. Right.
Okay, here, let me be an adjudicator here for a minute.
Okay, so let's
when you
look
say
at it.
it's been banned, it's for sale in the supermarkets.
No,
it's for
the
sale
World
in the
Health
range.
Organization has said it shouldn't be used.
I know, but you said it was banned.
Right, I
it's
recorrect
for
what I've said.
sale in the range. You can buy it. The public buys it. I have some in my.
Cornwall have banned
Right?
the use of it in their council. Okay,
Yes,
so
and
let's
so
just
has-
backtrack 10
So
years.
has Devon.
And Devon, yeah, let's
Yeah.
backtrack. I'm just saying now they want to
few
bring
have.
it back.
Okay,
so
thank you.
Cornwall want to bring it back, and it's been kicking off right or wrong.
So is that my bit now? Where
No, so what's your view on bringing it back? Now,
I think it needs to be brought back in a hurry to protect our infrastructure before these weeds take over and break it all apart, and it costs more money to put right again. You've just got to see it. From a common sense angle, control these weeds, or it's going to cost the county you live in hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds to
Millions.
repair. Yeah, I mean, I'm being conservative on the way I said it, but that it is going to trash all our infrastructure, pathways, roads, curbs, bridges. It needs to be got on top of before it's too late. And in the end, these people that stopped using it or voted for it to not be used in Devon, are they going to be about in the year's time or in a few years' time when they should be held accountable for the decisions they've made, and then left their county in a mess?
Yeah, I'll give you an example of that, Nat. A377, okay, coming in from the A30, near Sainsbury's, right? Most people know where that is. Just take a look at that island there. At some point in recent past, it was paved over, beautiful island, really nice. Sainsbury's is pretty okay, really. But there are buddleia bushes growing through it. There are at least 3 of them that are already 4 feet high. Nobody has done anything about those. And the reason why is because the Devon County Council and the Exeter City Council chose not to use that, and they didn't have any alternative. And I wrote to Councillor Moore about that because she spearheaded that, along with the Conservative. What's the chap's name from Alphington and Exwork that we had? Anyway, they banned the use of that, by the county council, and they didn't have any alternative. I mean, Neil, if you suddenly said, okay, well, I'm gonna get rid of my house, but I don't have a place to move to, would that make any sense?
No, but Nat wants to come in on that.
Who's going to be right? So, in our area, especially in my area, there are a group of people, cyclists, this, that, and the other, that are trying to promote active travel, green people, right? But who are the first people that are going to be moaning when they've built all these lovely pavements, and then the guy or girl or kid running down the pavement trips over on a clump of grass sticking out of a curb, or a cyclist slips up on some weeds or gets knocked off by weeds off a bike? None of them are seeing what they're trying to promote. None of it makes sense or ties in with common sense.
Yeah,
it really doesn't.
And another example is on Sidwell Street, near the Sidwell Methodist Church, because I'm up there quite often. There's a retaining wall. It comes up from, I don't know what section of town it is, but up the hill a little bit.
York Road, is it? York Road?
Probably so.
Yeah, the pub there.
And there's a retaining wall just around the corner. There's a pub on the corners.
Yeah, York, Duke of York.
Duke of York pub, yeah. There's a beautiful retaining wall. You can't even see the flipping retaining wall anymore because the buddleia bushes have overcome it, and it's going to destroy that retaining wall. And it's justified by the Green Party and Labor by saying, oh well, it's good for the bees and biodiversity. Well, I'd ask them to check their back garden and see if they have dandelions all over the place, because that's where the bees should be, in their backyard, but not my backyard place.
Yeah, I still got to get my point in, because I can look at the alternative view, and I really think, if you want me to be controversial, these weeds have got rights. What? Well, why should we get glyphosate and sort of kill them all off? There must be alternatives. Obviously, for somebody who's for these weeds coming all the way up, I couldn't answer what those alternatives are, but I'm sure they are.
Yeah,
well, I'll play adjudicator a little bit, okay? Because this has been extensively studied by the Exeter City Council. I communicated with them for about 6 months on it, and they did a study about alternatives, and they didn't have any other alternative, and that's why the weeds are growing tall.
I've got to say, it's Devon County Council who are responsible for the
Ian
weeds.
Franken, for example.
We better get that one out.
If Ian, when he sees this, for example, when we had the podcast about 6 months ago about this topic, Ian quite rightly said, I think the next alternative was hot foam, but it's very expensive compared to the glyphosate. So they don't really have an alternative.
So there's poison, glyphosate, when you've got Japanese knotweed, that's the only thing that kills it. Right, you've got hot foam, which we do not have any equipment to deliver that service. You have labour, i.e. the payback team, by the way, are doing a very good job. That is a method, but that is intensive, manpower. Okay, and the last one is different types of weed killer, which doesn't take effect. You might have to go out 1, 2, 3, 4 times to actually do it. So as listening to your discussion, so let's just look. If we pull back 15 years ago, this really wasn't a problem because they were using some form of killer or glyphosate, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, and we didn't have problems with curbs, tarmac, roads, bushes, growing off the islands and trip hazards and all that. So whatever way you want to cut it, we have a major problem. And I did use the word, we're going to be living in a jungle soon.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to live in a jungle, it'd be really good for you guys to come up. Do we live in a jungle or do we live on maintained streets? Because if we want to live in a jungle and we have the tarmac falling to bits and we've got trip hazards and we've got holes in the ground, we've got potholes because they're not filled in, which is all related to all this.
We'll be going back to the Stone Age.
Right, and you're happy to pay more money because nobody wants to pay more money So the discussion is, do we poison them in a controlled manner? And we're not on about parks. We're on about birds and bees. I have to be straight. I don't see many bees around some weeds on a main road. All right, and I just don't.
It'd be a very brave bee.
And I don't see many
admittedly.
butterflies. I see butterflies in the gardens. I see them in the parks. I see them in the countryside. We're not going to go and poison the countryside, all right? And Rob, you interrupted me, but carry on.
Okay, thank you, Neil. No, I was just going to add that statistically, most of the councils in Britain still use glyphosate. That's a fact. And I think when we did the podcast on glyphosate 6 months ago, I told a story about how I went up to Oxford with my youngest daughter, and it's beautiful up there. It's beautiful up there. You know, if you go into town center, there isn't one single weed. In fact, if you go to London, Tony,
Yeah, I know.
most places there aren't any weeds.
Clean it was.
Really, you know what I mean? So
The balanced discussion is, where do we get it right? How do we combat the issue? Because it's going to get worse. And by the way, I will point out, this summer we're going to get smashed with weeds. All right, we will get smashed. All right, so how do we combat it? So I'm not saying we poison everything. I just say we need to do targeted, especially on the roads, especially on the curbs, the pavements, anywhere where public footpath is, where the traffic or somebody's going to interrupt it, because it will bite us. It will bite us.
Well, it's a problem for the future then, and they just...
Glyphosate kills the root.
So we're live on air. Yeah. So like I was pointed out by one of my researchers in the background, yeah, it kills the root, glyphosate kills the root. And there's nothing else really. I'm not a scientist, but they are looking into it. They're controlling it. If they're going to do targeted areas, my view is you need to tell everybody so they know it's going to be. Never in parks, never in areas like that. Yeah, it will be a little bit negative, but you've got to weigh up the pros and cons.
You have to think, what else is there? You can use manual labour, but they'll be back again the year.
But you ain't
next
gonna
year,
get
the
the
year
key-
after.
the
It will
key-
not control it. It'll just...
But I'd like to pull this back. I'd like everybody. I've read most of the comments on the Facebook page. I will respond to most of them. And on this show tonight, I want your responses as well. So we have about 2 minutes left, if I'm correct.
Could you just summarize, guys, our conversation tonight on this topic here that I flashed up on the screen?
Yeah, so we're looking at the fuel and oil. We're hoping the government will look at that. I know they're more interested about...
building a war chest. isn't
Well,
it?
so Keir Starmer and that position they're in, all this getting debated. We've got a country in crisis, right? We need help, and they're more interested in whatever. I'm not going down, right? But I think they should have a holiday on the tax on fuel, right? A very simple holiday, not forever, right? Just to support families, everybody. It's not about the rich, the poor, because we all drive. It affects everybody in every way, and it affects the businesses.
Yeah. Why should the government make money off this unfortunate incident?
I think they're enjoying it,
really.
Well,
right?
because it's
I
money,
honestly-
all money, isn't it? They don't care where they get it
Well,
from.
because they need the money to spend it on useless bloody privilege and give other people who don't work more money.
Well, it couldn't have come at a better time for them, could it? You know, and they're using the war in Iran.
But I also think they're using Keir Starmer
to
as
hammer everybody in
as
this country.
a deflection as well. So the crisis, I was going to say midlife crisis. I'm talking about life crisis. All this Keir Starmer rubbish. Nobody really talks about the fuel. Then it's all about Keir Starmer. All the papers, all this, right? It's deflection. I just really, really, really upset about it. That's the first thing about the oil. Solar farms. We brought up about solar farms. They shouldn't be building in the countryside. There's too many of them now. We've met the net zero. You're ruining the countryside. So the government should stop. They should be putting them on brownfields, on top of warehouses, car parks, roofs, you name it, right? Not the countryside. It needs to stop.
Yeah.
Okay, we already talked about weed killer, right? Where do we get the right balance? I'm a country man. I've been brought up in the country. I love it, right? But we also got to remember our infrastructure has got to be looked after, because it will deteriorate very quickly. All right, and if that does, right, this country's going to the dogs anyway.
I mean, I
It-
will
it
add,
just
I
needs to
look
turn
at
around.
the Exeter City being a city of culture, and I just think as I enter Exeter, it's not what I would call it. You want to see something nice as you're going along.
So we could discuss and we can moan and groan. And somebody always said to me years ago, you can moan and groan about what are you going to do about it? What would we do about it?
Well, you bring around motions, don't you, to get all these things
But the
back in,
motions, I bought
back on
motions.
the...
So I bought motions about car parking on pavements. Well, it got passed, but what's happened? I want about photographic evidence. What's happened? I want about the weeds. Where's the funding? What's happened? I want about
we won't get
I want about bringing SEND together properly because we need to all coordinate with the NHS now. What's happened?
Well,
No, what's happened? I've
Unfortunately.
worked for 9 months. What has actually happened?
Unfortunately, Neil, because they don't like us, they're
No, I
not
think
going
the
to pass a
system is
lot of our
broken.
motions.
The system is
So-
broken. We need a new sheriff in town, right? And that is what's going to happen. But we haven't got there yet. No. So I'm quite personal on this, right? When somebody says about me taking money away from children on SEND, yeah, that's pathetic. But let's carry on.
Okay. Well, Neil, I'm flashing the slide up here for everybody to see. Can we just close this out if you don't mind, because we're about out of time. But I think Exeter does need change. It's obvious. You can see it. You can see it in the graffiti and the weeds, and we've got to straighten this out because it's just getting worse and worse. So
Yeah, well, I'm going to add to that. We need to unite. It doesn't matter what party we are. We need to unite to get this city back to where it used to be.
And county.
And county, because we are county.
Yeah,
County.
Yeah, and county. Yeah, sorry. It's the whole county. So it's too much divide. It's too much divide. I think we've got some very clever people. We just need to get officers
Get the right balance.
officers doing their job, what they get paid for. Okay, and that's my passionate
Yeah,
view.
and instead of promoting ideologies and people's own personal vanity projects, you've got to look at it as a whole and look at it in fairness to everybody in Devon, not just the few.
Yeah, and I think, yeah,
And don't
I
forget,
totally
tomorrow's St. George's Day.
Yes, everyone.
Be proud to be British.
thank you, Tony. Okay, Neil, let's wrap this up. Guys, so we're going to be back live with you all next Thursday night, 6 o'clock as normal. And we've got a great
no, you're
topic.
Incorrect.
No, I think that could be another record.
Because we have our annual AGM next Thursday, so we might have to do I do not like doing recordings, by the way. I like to do it live. I like people coming in. So,
Well, I may not be able to make it to that because I've got 2 meetings, like I
all right,
said.
so
Anyway, stay tuned,
it's gonna
guys, for
happen.
the next exciting adventure.
Will be whether or not we're live or not.
We'll try to be live. If not, we'll record it. And we thank you for watching tonight, episode 43, Conversation for Neil Stevens.
Respect the place that you call home.